What is up, guys? It's my main Chief here. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm gonna be a rebel once again because I'm doing a tag that I wasn't tagged in. Ah! Enough of me making weird noises. We're gonna be doing the totally should have book tag. Now, I just didn't want to do another book rant because I didn't really have much to talk about. I'm gonna be reading The Knicks by Nathan Hill. I was supposed to say Joe Hill, but Stephen Hill. I'm gonna be doing reading The Knicks by Nathan Hill. And then I'm going to be rereading The Secret History by Donna Tartt, so that's pretty much it for my reading right now. But anyway, I just wanted to do another tag video because the last couple have been really well done. I felt like that they're some of my best videos, so I'm just going to go on with it. So I'm going to do the totally should have book tag. I first found out about this tag from a brilliant booktuber that I literally found just yesterday called Lee Nicole. I'll link her video in the description below. Her channel in the description below. She's absolutely fantastic and I cannot recommend her enough. But anyway, I'm not going to waste any more time with this. Let's get into this. Alright, so the totally should have book tag is kind of like set up with questions that are like totally should have blank blank. Like, totally should have blank. Like, here, let's just get this started so you guys will get the picture of it. So, number one is totally should have gotten the sequel. Now, I know this book is I'm well aware that this book had a great ending. It tied itself up pretty nicely, but at the same time, I feel like this author can pull off a sequel for the themes that this book tackles because something in America has happened recently, and I feel like this author can really nail it. That's The Kite Runner by Khaled Hosseini. Now, I'm not saying a direct sequel of this, but kind of like something that's kind of related, something kind of like this, but set in like 2016, 2017 in America, and just centers around kind of like the whole like the idea of Trump America destroying the idea, like how would I describe it? Kind of like this type of book, but set in a Trumpian America, like we're living in right now. But anyway, The Kite Runner, I love this book. It's absolutely fantastic. It's just brilliant, and I think that Khaled Hosseini can easily pull off a sequel with this, especially with new material such as like the travel ban pulling up, and I feel like he can really do a lot with that topic. So I'd love to see kind of a somewhat sequel to The Kite Runner, but kind of like setting like not really with the same characters, but just you know what I mean. All right, number two, totally should have had a spin-off series. Now, normally I don't do this with books, and I did it because I'm doing it with a graphic novel, and I don't think I've talked about this graphic novel on my BookTube channel. I think way back when I was doing comic book videos, I praised the series with just brilliance. I was fanboying over this series, and Kate over at K-File recently read it, and she loved it, and I love it, so why not talk about it? It's Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire. This is brilliant. If you don't know what this is about, it's kind of like this post-apocalyptic universe where children are like mutants between like hybrids between humans and an animal. Like our main character Gus is a hybrid between a deer or like a elk or something like that, and human. And it is just brilliant, but I feel like there could be easily a prequel series that just like a small series, just like explaining some of the details that lead up to the beginning of this book. And I just love this universe. I think Jeff Lemire is one of the greatest comic book writers to ever live. He has a very unique art style. He did everything for this book. Well, not like the inks and colors, but like he did the art, he did the writing, he did the story, he created the characters. It's pretty much Jeff Lemire's book. And that's what I absolutely love about it. Jeff Lemire is one of the greatest comic book writers out there, and even if you're not big into comic books, I still recommend this one. It's not superhero, even though Vertigo, the company that published this, is owned by DC. It is definitely a unique take on the genre of graphic novels because it's just so different from what you read. And I have another graphic novel series in here somewhere, but Sweet Tooth by Jeff Lemire is awesome, and I'd love to see a prequel series to this. Number three, an author who totally should write more books. If you know me, this is a no-brainer. This is an absolutely no-brainer whatsoever. I could have chosen another author, like I could have chosen Jeffrey Eugenides, but Donna Tartt. Donna Tartt. My favorite. I think if The Secret History is as good as I remember it being, she's gonna be my favorite author of all time. I'm not even joking. She's absolutely brilliant. She's amazing at writing stories, writing characters, and just having a unique writing style for each of the books she writes. And just, I know she takes loads of time to create the novels as good as she did. Like, she takes loads of time to make sure that these novels are good, but she herself, I think I saw an interview from her that she would personally like to write a little bit faster. Not too fast, but, like, a book every 5 years instead of 10 years. So, that'd be really amazing, because then that means we'd have a new book by the end of the decade. But anyway, Donna Tartt, it's a no-brainer. The Secret History and The Goldfinch are two of my favorite books of all time, and I still really love The Little Friend. It's just not amazing scale. And it's definitely her weakest novel. But it's like saying, yeah, the Mona Lisa is the weakest of Da Vinci's paintings. Really? They're still all masterpieces, so I love Donna Tartt to death. And I can't wait for her next book, even if it may be 6-7 years from now. Number 4, a character who totally should have ended up with someone else. I have no answer. I don't read books for the relationship, so next. 5, totally that should have ended differently. Now, I know somebody is going to, i.e. Kate, is going to be screaming at me saying, this book is perfect! What are you doing? No, anyway. But it's Three Souls by Janie Chang. This is her favorite book of all time. It's like, she loves this book like how I love, like, Catcher in the Rye or Moby Dick. So this is gonna be, I don't want to be too harsh on her, but at the same time, this book was phenomenal in the first 2/3. Like, I saw perfectly why she gave this a 5 out of 5. I was very close to giving it a 5 out of 5 myself. And then the last, third and final part of this book was just extremely inferior to the book. To the first 2/3. Extremely inferior. They weren't bad. It was actually still decent, but decent over amazing. Which one would you take? A decent part or an amazing part? If you're a human, that you're probably going to say, yeah, I want an amazing part. But Janie Chang, I'm definitely going to be reading the other book she released this year called Dragon Spring Snow. Because the next book, But Dragon Spring Road, I think is what it's called. But Three Souls was still a great book. But if it ended differently with the main character, with something that happens with the main character, then I feel like that this book would have been so much better, in my personal opinion. Number 6, totally should have had a movie franchise. Now, this is going to be strange because, like, these books are kind of episodic. Even though they're set in the same universe and, like, the same time period, I do think that this book series is, even though with its episodic nature, all 4 of them should be turned into movies. Even though I've only read the first one. And that is The Sea of Fertility by Yukio Mishima. I've only read this one, which is Spring Snow, his first book in the series, and I loved it. Absolutely adored it. It's one of the greatest books I've read so far this year. It is about these 2 young aristocrats named Honda and Kiyoaki. Kiyoaki? I don't know Japanese names that well, but Kiyoaki, I think is how you pronounce it. And then Honda is trying to make sure that his friend doesn't literally throw himself into trouble because he has this, like, massive passion for a young woman named Satoko, I think is how I pronounce it. The names are on the back, so it's really all I have to look for. Yeah, Satoko. And she's, like, supposed to be beautiful and charming, yet supposed to be, like, really independent and really, and, like, can, like, stand, like, have her emotions stand on her own 2 feet, and it's just brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It shows, like, the content, like, it shows how dangerous love can really be. It shows how devious people can really be, and how people can control one another, and it's just phenomenal. And if the 3 other books are anywhere nearly as good as this book, then I think this may be one of my personal favorite series of all time. Now, the reason why I want this to be a movie series is because I want each book to be a movie. Kind of like how, like, Lord of the Rings did, or Harry Potter did until the Deathly Hallows. Why did you make that into 2 parts? Money hungry? No, anyway. Spring Snow and the whole Sea of Fertility series should be turned into movies. I think they're popular enough that people would buy them, like see them. But yeah, I love Yukio Mishima. That's just personally me. So the Sea of Fertility, I absolutely adore it. Number 7, totally should have had a TV show. Now, this is my favorite book series of all time, and I've loved this series for years now. And I don't think and if you guys want me to do a whole series of me rereading this series, because I've been debating on rereading it lately, and just making a reviews for each and every volume, I will. The Sandman by Neil Gaiman. This is masterful. The greatest graphic novels ever created. The greatest graphic novels ever created. The best thing Neil Gaiman has ever done. And just the greatest book series that I have personally ever read. Yes, I prefer them over the Lord of the Rings series. Fight me! But anyway, Sandman is just so wonderful, so brilliant, so trippy. It's everything that I love in a book series, and everything that I think that graphic novels should achieve, instead of doing the same thing over and over again, like with the superheroes. I'm sorry, there are some good superhero comic books out there, like Watchmen, that's awesome, and a couple of the Batman books I'm really a big fan of. But superheroes I just found to be so repetitive and just kind of a waste of potential for an otherwise great genre of entertainment, graphic novels. In fact, I've been wanting to get slightly back into, like, independent comic books like Image and Vertigo, but, like, I don't know, maybe I've just heard iffy things about them lately. Even the series I used to like have gone downhill, like Saga and Wicked and the Divine. But Sandman is still one of my favorite books of all time, and I would love to have a TV show out of this. I'm not usually a TV show watcher. I like, where's some TV shows I like? I like, South Park. I like just pretty much, like, comedy shows. Like, I love Monty Python. I love South Park. I love Mystery Science Theater 3000. Futurama and The Simpsons. They're great. But other than that, I'm just not big into, like, dramatic TV shows. Like, I tried to sit down and watch The Walking Dead, was it? Yeah, The Walking Dead, and I was just bored by it. Never had any interest in, Breaking Bad. I had a little interest in the Game of Thrones books, but I didn't really like the books, so I've never seen the TV show. So, but this would be the exception. I would absolutely gobble up this series, because it's my favorite book series of all time, so why wouldn't I love a TV show adaptation of it? So, Neil Gaiman's The Sandman is an easy answer for me for a book that I want to be turned into a TV show. 8. A book that totally should have one point of view. And this book is the book I chose will be like, whoa, you read that? I know, I totally forgot that I read it as well, but I liked it. It was good, but just, it's definitely not this is an author that I don't love in the slightest. In fact, the other book that I read from him was kind of crap, but this book could have been so much better if it was made into if it was told through only one point of view. And I know that's kind of like his artistic style, writing in multiple point of views, but personally, it just doesn't work for me. And that's William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. I know, I read this at one point. But I like this. I didn't love it like most people do. I just found it to be a bit confusing, you know? It was a little bit too confusing for its own good. I understood what was going on. I understood, like the characters and, like, who was speaking. I wasn't that confused by it. But what I was confused about was the switching perspectives. I had to take, it took me about, like, a good 10 or 20 pages to figure out who was talking. And it just would have been so much easier to just have, and it would have been in the book's benefit as well, for if it was just told in through one constant perspective. Now, with something as I Lay Dying, which was the book I didn't really like by him, that was the only thing that I really liked about that book, was the switching perspectives. I liked the characters, kind of, and the switching perspectives were actually really good. But the story of that book was just really bland, and I hated the ending of it. This is the exact opposite here. I love the story. I think the characters are okay, but at the same time, I can't stand the way that Faulkner just switches perspectives. I think he does it very sloppily. But at the same time, this was a good book. I didn't love it, but, you know, I'm wanting to give As I Lay Dying another chance, because, and just Faulkner in general another chance, because I don't feel like I was in the right mood when I read As I Lay Dying, and even though I was in the right mood when I read this, I didn't love it. But, you know, I feel like I can love Faulkner with a little bit of force, so, yeah, I need to get back into Faulkner, and this book really should have only been told into one point of view. Number 9, totally should have had a cover change. The Namesake by Jhumpa Lahiri. This just has nothing to do with the book itself. It's just, yeah, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. That's whatever. Number 10, should have kept the original cover. Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick. Whenever I look at this book, I'm just like, hey, that was the book that the movie was based on because of this cover. Because of this cover, actually, I think that this book kind of loses its identity. And it's just kind of more of like, hey, that was a movie. And not like, hey, that's a book. So, even though I love Silver Linings Playbook, I think it's Matthew Quick's best book by far. It's just, I see it more as a book that was turned into a movie more than an actual, like, standalone book. I feel like you can't get the idea of the movie out of your head without looking at this cover. And I feel like it'd been a lot easier if you just go back to the original cover, which I may post over here or something. But Silver Linings Playbook, it was a good book. Great book, actually, but I'd love to get a different cover than this, even though I love Jennifer Lawrence on the cover. I love Jennifer Lawrence in general. And number 7, totally should have stopped at book 1. I hate this series with a burning passion. I think it led to so much crap in the literary world. However, it wouldn't have been nearly as bad if it was just one standalone and another standalone, instead of 6 books and 3 books, and then having another series on the way. That is, of course, I'm talking about the Mortal Instruments series and the Internal Devices trilogy by Cassandra Clare. 2 books! Could have been enough. 2 books! Why 9? So far there's 9. No, wait. Lady Midnight's a thing. 10! You have 10 books to develop your world, and yet you still fall flat. Why? How is that possible? But anyway, I just don't think Cassandra Clare's that good of a writer, but at the same time, it would have challenged her to make it just even a trilogy. Even if the Mortal Instruments was a trilogy and the Internal Devices was a standalone, that would have been much better. That would have been incredible compared to what we got, which was an overly long piece of crap. So, honestly, Cassandra Clare is one of the worst authors I've ever read, but she may have not been one of the worst authors if she just kept them as a series of standalones set in the same universe. So that was the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. Comment down below what you guys thought of the tag. Oh man, I'm a little gassy, but anyway, hi Mega Man Chief Fan, and I'll see you later, guys.